to episode 10 of the MMG podcast, non-football edition. I am joined by my good friend Gocubs and I.
I want to know who thought it was a good idea to put the fucking rabbits in a game with Mario and actually make it good.
Most surprising video games of the year, Mario plus Rabbids.
The game doesn't have a right to be as good as it is. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man! Now,
No business.
of course, with that opening, you would think that we would be discussing video games today, but unfortunately,
I just had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, nothing big video game wise is happening right now. Damn you, Nintendo, not announcing Animal Crossing. Anyways, welcome back.
They just released Pokken yesterday.
Nah, whatever. We're gonna be talking about the final stretch of the Big Brother 19 season, which concluded this past Wednesday. And we last when we talked to you guys, it was before I believe Mark went out of the house. So a lot transpired between Mark still being in the house and the very end of this season. Gocubs, please give me your main takeaway of this remainder of the season.
You should have asked me this before so I could come up with something clever.
All right, I'll start. I did not expect this season to get even more volatile than it actually was already. We had what happened with Jess and Cody beforehand that was pretty volatile. You had Elena, people fought with Elena a little bit, but that wasn't really much with her, at least. And then they were kind of peaceful with letting go of Mark, but I did not expect the fights and the berating to escalate to the point where the people I thought I would be enjoying this season, they ended up not turning out to be very good, good players or people, really. Yeah. And it was probably one of the biggest disappointments of this season, for sure. So I think that's pretty much my main takeaway with the final stretch, was just like, after, last podcast that we had when we talked about Big Brother, where I thought, I still enjoyed the season, and I think especially like nearing the end and the finale, I mean, I think I still, I think I was enjoying it, but it definitely will go down as one of the more not so good seasons of Big Brother, considering the cast and the situation. But what about you?
We'll probably get back to this later, but the thing that sucks about rooting for Team Chaos is that sometimes Team Chaos works in not so maybe morally correct ways. And that's how not a lot of the non-gameplay stuff happened. Just lots of fights and really just awful stuff happening.
Yeah, and I think that, you could be a fan of fights in the Big Brother house, but not want them to go as far as they ended up going.
There's a difference between Mark and Josh throwing ketchup and mayo at each other, and some of the stuff that happened later on.
Yeah. And I'll try my best to, we'll try our best here to kind of go week by week. I'm gonna actually real quick pull up the Wikipedia chart for Big Brother. They have a whole chart that lays out what happened each week and what I can remember from each of those weeks. But yeah, essentially we were out. We were I think that the first week that after we recorded our last podcast was week 8. Mark was the one easy target. He ended up being picked for the veto and ended up losing that. And then they voted him out, but then it kind of led to Jason and Alex voting Matt out instead of Mark, and that was kind of what kind of triggered the next week where
Yeah.
where Matt and Raven became the targets, and so Jason won HOH, nominated Matt and Raven, promised Raven that he was not going to be he's going to be backdooring Kevin, and that he will use the veto on one of them. Jason ends up winning the veto, and that promise seems like it's going to be kept for them. And then, or at least to Matt and Raven, it seems like it's going to be kept, and then it turns out not, and that kind of leads to Matt and Raven all of a sudden waking up and realizing that this summer camp they've been in this whole time is actually a reality show called Big Brother on CBS.
Yeah. And then it
And
led to a really huge fight between Matt and Jason, where Jason just could not defend his own bullshit.
yeah, yeah, and it was just it was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination. It was just this yelling back and forth between the two of them for a little while, and then that same day, a little later in that day, is when uh, Kevin and Josh had an exchange of words, which led to, I think Josh maybe brought up his family at one point. I forget if I don't know what the exact words were, but Kevin nearly threatened to hit him with a cup, and then they had to like separate and go to different sections of the house afterwards, and that led to a very interesting discussion in the bathroom. Jason, Alex, Paul, and Josh all sitting there, and I want to make sure I get these words correct. The let's see. I think it's kind of it's not pretty what he said.
No.
But Jason like had a joke, a quote unquote joke, about the raping of Kevin's wife, essentially. And the quote is he was going to fuck Kevin's wife and tie down his daughters and make them watch. And that was considered a joke, and Alex laughed. I believe Paul was laughing. I forget what Josh was doing. But it was not supposed to be funny, and it was especially surprising for Alex that she was laughing, because she went off on Jason earlier in the season about how like she has someone close to her that was raped, and they shouldn't make jokes about that, and meanwhile she's laughing her ass off at this thought because she just decides to hate Kevin. Now, and let me just say too, a lot of this, these hateful Kevin comments, or these hateful developments towards these hateful developments towards him were all things that came from Paul. Paul put it into their minds. All this stuff, lies a lot of the times, it's half-truths, to make Kevin look worse than he is. And the reason that I think that he did it was because he thought that if he had Kevin in the final two, that Kevin would easily win, because he's a father, he's older, he's very likable, people enjoyed his company. So what Paul tried to do was paint Kevin in a horrible light, so that way everyone in the house would hate Kevin. And so he exposed the fact that he had $25,000 in his back pocket. He went out of his way to tell Christmas that Kevin was wanting to have sex with her, which was not half truth. I know that Kevin said that he found Christmas very pretty, and that I don't know if he said that he I think he was joking, having a date with her. I'm not too sure what the comment was that he made, but Paul over exaggerated it to Christmas when he told her that, um, and he kind of went to Alex and was just like, "Oh, Kevin constantly back talks about you, like completely shits on you behind your back," and it led to this hatred of Kevin that was so irrational in the house, and it led to actions by other house guests, like just really, like everyone just really hating him and berating him for no fucking reason, and
Huh.
a lot of it was because Paul said that he was bad. You know, I don't know. It was
Yeah.
it was one of those things that was a constant theme for like the last few weeks of the Big Brother season. That was just so disappointing because you know you don't what Kevin really didn't deserve a lot of it. He ended up being isolated a lot, um, and he just no one really treated him very kindly, and one of the only people to really treat him like really kindly was Jason, ironically, who made a joke about raping his wife, and that he doesn't even know or he didn't know. I mean, maybe he does know now that he's out of the house, but like, it's just. I'm sorry, I'm talking so much, but I just
Yeah.
this was one of those storylines that just really boggled my mind, and I would love clarification. Maybe there was some things that Kevin did say that were a little bit off-putting, but I never really got that idea from anyone,
Yeah.
or like a lot again. Like Alex would go out of her way to want to hide in places and call out Kevin if he tried to talk shit about her. Like she would hide and like ask people to bring Kevin in and then get him to start saying bad shit so she can go get out, like jump out and yell in his face. He compared or she compared him to a being a child molester, even though that's like not even like that makes no fucking sense. But
Yeah.
that's what she did, and it just was unreal. It was just unreal. The Kevin hatred in this house. I don't know. Do you have anything that you want to add to that at all?
Not really. You pretty much covered it.
Yeah, it was just one of those just constant things that were happening during the last few weeks that just really irritated me and really turned me off to like wanting to watch the feeds because it was just such hatred going around in the house.
Yeah.
Um, and Kevin was just an easy scapegoat in a lot of situations. He was involved with another fight too that originally did not air when it happened, but aired during the highlight show the Friday before the finale.
I
Um,
actually didn't watch that one.
yeah, I didn't either. I was able to watch it on YouTube because this fight was actually not aired on the feeds either. It was completely blocked out.
Uh,
But supposedly what triggered it was that Kevin was honest with Matt and said that he won the $25,000 at the beginning of the game, and asked Matt not to tell anyone. And what does Matt do? But he goes ahead and tells both Raven and Paul. Paul already knew, of course. Uh,
yeah.
Raven, I guess, didn't. But then um, Kevin kind of got wind of him telling people, and when Matt tried to confront him about it, um, Matt kind of just blew up on him, and he was just kind of like I think Matt was just like, "Did you win the $25,000 in front of everyone?" It was Kevin supposed to do at that point. I don't know. He kind of just then was like, "No, I did not win $25,000," and Matt went off and was just kind of like, "How you told me that you did." And look, that was probably a poor decision on Kevin's part, but it ended up in this screaming fight with Raven and Alex, and like I'm not gonna be able to recount everything with that, but it was kind of ugly. But one of my favorite lines of the whole thing was Kevin telling I think either Alex or Raven that a shoe could beat you in this competition. And I was just like, oh, see that. I mean, that's at least as far as his insults can go, right? Where
Yeah.
meanwhile, everyone behind his back is just saying like, talking about tying his kids down and forcing them to watch their mom get raped. No big deal. Um,
All right,
yeah,
let's move on from
yeah. Um,
this
so
petty shit.
the, we but then what kind of started happening was uh it was after Mark went out that Paul successfully positioned himself to three groups: Alex, Jason, Christmas, Josh, and Matt and Raven. And so he was successful in getting Matt out, splitting Matt and Raven up. And then his goal was to get rid of Alex or Jason, mainly Jason. Jason was the target. So Christmas won that HOH, or was given that HOH by Paul. Um, I believe actually that was the one. That was the one that they were supposed to do the sprinting, and none of them did the sprinting because
Fuck them.
they all did the false start. And it
They all
completely
fucking false started, and the girl with the broken leg won the damn running competition.
and it was really frustrating because that's one of the more fun HOH competitions, and
Yeah.
it was completely ruined by every single one of them throwing it, and
Because Paul said so.
because Paul said so.
They all were doing what Paul said all the damn time.
Yeah. So so Christmas listens to Paul, nominates Alex and Jason, says, this is my chance to get rid of a strong male threat. And so Alex thinks that she's looking to backdoor Kevin. Jason kind of is catching on to what Christmas was kind of saying, that she is trying to get rid of him. But Alex talks him out of it, like, no, you're good, you're safe. So then Paul wins the power veto. He uses it on Alex, and Kevin goes up, and that makes Jason feel nice and secure. Like, oh yeah, Kevin's going to be fine, or I'm going to be fine. Kevin's going to be going out the door, and then Josh and Christmas and Raven all voted against Jason. And Jason was sent out 3-2. Paul, covering up his tracks, voted for Kevin. And after that eviction, which was the first of 2 evictions that night.
Oh, the double eviction.
Yeah. Paul and Josh had a fake fight to kind of throw Alex. Yeah. And so the next target was supposed to be Alex. And then
it was also the fact that Jason literally walked out of the house without hugging anyone because he thought that Alex was a part of the blind side.
Yeah, he thought Alex and Paul, who he felt knew everything about what was happening in the house, he thought he was backstabbed by both of them.
He was backstabbed by one of them.
Right, correct. And so Alex, 1HOH, said, that was for you, Jason, pointing to the sky as if Jason died. And then nominated. You would think that Alex would nominate Josh and Christmas, or because those were the 2 people that voted. Yeah, that voted Jason out. No,
but no,
Kevin and Raven, 2 of the least threatening house guests.
No, don't say that. One of them was the puppet master.
We'll get to that later. Kevin and Raven go up on the block, and Kevin's the target because Alex just has a vendetta against Kevin.
Right.
Raven ends up, or rather, Josh ends up winning the veto, and he does not use the power veto, so it's Kevin and Raven now sitting on the block. And what do? While Josh wanted to get out Kevin to keep his promise with Alex, Paul and Christmas voted out Raven, and Raven was sent out the door against Alex's wishes. Again, you would think that these would be red flags for Alex to maybe turn on Paul. Not going to happen. They're still thinking that they're final two together. They still think that or she still thinks that that they're tight, that they're good. She doesn't realize that now she's alone and she can't compete in the next HOH competition. So then we get to Josh winning the next HOH, and he nominates Alex and Kevin, and he once again it's kind of hinted at the idea that this is I should backtrack a little bit. Josh at this point, and it kind of started from last week or for the previous week, he's starting to catch on to Paul. Okay, do you want to go into that a little bit?
The fact that Paul was basically running this entire thing.
Yeah, he was on top of. He all of a sudden just started realizing that everything that he has done this season and everything that, or at least when I say he, I mean Josh, kind of was worked in Paul's benefit in that the people that Paul wanted out were the ones going and not necessarily, hearing, they didn't want to hear Josh out or anything, because Paul was the one that was in control and Paul was the one that wanted to get his way in the situation. So Alex and Kevin, I'm trying to. What was it? Was it the week with Alex and Jason when they were up on the block that it was like the first time when they were like, we should just keep the nominations the same, and make a statement right then and there. And then Paul was like, "No, we have to use the veto on one of them." Was it that week?
That Josh was starting to catch on?
Yeah.
Yeah, because at that point, Josh was like, this really only helps Paul. It doesn't help me at Christmas.
Right. So this kind of extends into his HOH, which, by the way, after the double eviction, right before he wins HOH, it was one of my favorite scenes of the whole season. Josh is trying to comfort Alex a little bit. And all of a sudden, Paul comes in and he's crying, he's bawling, and then Alex leaves the room, and Paul looks up at Josh, and is smiling, and Josh realizes that he was fake crying the whole time, and he had like bold eyes, as Paul was just like, everything's working to our plan, and Josh in the diary room was just like, I thought
the devil, man.
It was just
fucking hilarious.
It was just this total realization that oh my god, Paul is an emotional manipulator of all time, like just completely. And it was just this complete realization. So now it's Josh wins HOH, and now he's thinking maybe I should get out Paul this week. Maybe if I nominate Alex and Kevin, but then if Paul doesn't win the veto, take one of them off and put him up there, and maybe I could get one more person on my side, so that way I have the power to get rid of Paul once and for all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that did not happen.
Paul won the veto,
and I believe that was the superhero week, which, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how fucking stupid the Revengers thing was?
Yes,
None
please.
of them can act. It was all awful. The best roles were the ones that stayed silent. Like, Austin was in there. He was just this big dude that, like, hulked around and was, like, mute, silent. He was the best character in that because he didn't have to fucking speak. Nicole can't act. Dan Giesling can't act. James has had to pop up and go, what are you doing? So that was okay. It was so bad. I hated it.
I was gonna say, like, Austin has maybe some acting experience because he's WWE and all that,
right?
But it's so good. I don't really understand why they did it, and people really pointed it out. Like, the past few seasons have not, in terms of like the entirety of Big Brother, which stems all the way back to 2000. most of those guys are not really that legendary. Um,
No.
so, but at the same time, I can understand why they did include those casts because everyone in that in those seasons outside of Dan Giesling had the comic strip
Right.
competitions played in those. So, uh, yeah,
They
it
also
was.
were more recognizable to maybe a newer fan base, like people who started watching around when I did.
Yes,
As an example.
yeah, many, many are salty about catering to the new fan base, which I don't really understand. I mean, it's whatever,
Fuck that.
it's fine. All right,
Be mad at the fact that the Revengers exist, not who they chose to be in it, but also who they chose to be in it because they were fucking terrible actors.
fair enough, right? So Paul then has this decision now. Like, yeah, okay, so Josh can't nominate Paul, so Paul's safe for the week, but he has to make a decision whether or not to use the veto on Alex. Because if he uses it on Alex, then he's clearly saying that I'm going to align with you, and that's not going to be a good sign for Josh at Christmas. But uh, if he doesn't use the power of veto, he's gonna kind of that crush the like that kind of
Their
friendship with
relationship.
Alex. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so he decides to be honest with Alex. He sits her down in the Apple room and kind of just lays down the law that he can't do it because it's best for it's better for his game. And what he does is instead of saying that he had the power over it, he just kind of pushed the blame on Josh and Christmas that this is what they want, this is what they want to do. I have nothing to do with it. I just know that if I do use the power of veto you, I screw over my game, and I have to look out for number one. And so this basically, Alex is just pissed. She's super mad about it. She's or super at least upset about it because she thought they would be ride or die, but that's not the case. She kept on saying how friendship is dead in the diary room. This is not Gumpy, whatever the fuck you want to bullshit Paul catchphrase you want to use. She kept on using. Like, I mean, you got that real sense that they were followers there. Um,
Yep.
and yeah, it ended up leading to Alex remaining on the block and being evicted. No hugs or goodbyes, I don't think, from Alex, or at least as far as I remember. She was not happy, and she went to the jury house, a little pissed. Let's address the jury house real quick. So, as each of them were entering the jury house, um, each of them had their own little perspectives of what happened, and I think we could start from Jason because Jason's thinking, Alex completely, or we could start from I guess Matt entering the house.
Hmm.
He thinks that Raven and Paul were the ones controlling the game, and then you had Jason. He comes in and is super salty against Alex and Paul, thinking that they're the ones behind his eviction. And then Raven comes in, and because I think that you have a way of explaining the situation. At least a little brief description of Raven's first entry back into the jury house.
Okay. So Raven, like when she was in the jury house watching all of the stuff, she kept talking about how she was, granted she did say with Paul, but more so she specifically was controlling all the strings, and she was the puppet master, and she was doing everything, and everyone was going home because of her. And then Mark kept pointing out, like, then why the fuck are you here? Why are you sitting in jury house not winning if you were controlling the strings? You didn't win any challenges. You fucking suck. And I was just like, yes, Mark, you are right. Fucking put her in her place. She did nothing. He's like, no, I talked about my own, which is kind of a bullshit thing to
Like,
joke about, and I'm sorry about that, but
no,
that's all
no.
she did.
Here's the thing with Raven, and it became more and more evident as the season went on. Was look, I any disease that she has, I think the main one, and the true one is the gastroparesis. I mean, obviously, I feel terrible for her that she has that, but
Yeah.
everything else that she said that she had or she was dealing with, you could tell that it was a scam. Like you could tell that she was trying to fake it in a lot of
And all the
ways.
stuff that like she claimed to do and that she claimed her mom did or whatever.
Right. That her mom was struck by lightning twice or something like that.
Right.
I just I mean again feel bad for her on the if she actually like if she's really dealing with some diseases, but I think she needs to be treated for pathological liar as at the same time because it was really evident throughout the whole show, and she was a little just pathological period in that jury session because she really thought that she was pulling the strings and actually was doing things in the house, and she wasn't. Most of the time,
Yeah.
it was just her and Paul fighting with each other, squealing all the time, throwing food at one another, and causing a mess in the Big Brother house, and not really doing shit.
Right.
They're two of the most frustrating house guests in this season because they were
Yeah.
not doing anything, like anything, and
Mm.
all they were relying on was Paul telling them what was happening and what he wanted them to know, and they sucked it in, thinking that we're
Look, at least
yeah
at least Matt at the last jury roundtable admitted that he didn't fucking do anything.
yeah yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But Raven was just like, I did everything. I controlled the damn game.
she pulled those strings, and it was kind of it was kind of gross to watch, but I enjoyed at least the fact that Mark was putting her in her place at least.
Yeah.
And another thing to know is that during Raven's return to the jury, or at least coming to the jury house,
Yeah.
Jason got to see Alex winning the HOH and her saying over and over again, "That's for you, Jason." And now is the sudden realization that, oh shit, Alex was not behind my eviction. It was just Paul.
Yeah.
And that I think further solidified Jason's opinion of Paul, and at least maybe repatched up his relationship with Alex. And then in comes Alex, and they are able to kind of do patchwork on that. On that front, and it's just it was hilarious watching Raven say like, oh, I was pulling all the strings, and meanwhile and like she was like, oh, we had a final three with Paul, and Mark and I were like, me too, and Jason and Alex were like, yeah, us three too. It was just all of them falling for Paul's antics, but Raven just thinking that, oh yeah, we worked together. We all of us, we were here together, and just fucking I don't know.
I'm helping.
Yeah. Raven's gonna go down as one of the best Big Brother players to ever grace the great lands um, of of the show. Um, anyways, File 4 HOH. Paul wins HOH, and this is everything has gone to the way that Paul planned it out and wanted.
Right.
He wins File 4 HOH, guarantees himself a fight in the Final 3. He nominates Josh and Kevin. And
but all that matters here is the veto.
Yeah. And you know what was funny? They were planning on blowing up on Kevin one more time to really shake him up before the veto. And the majority of the feeds were down during this point, so they might have done it, but I don't think they ended up going through with it because none of them were really talking about it afterwards. They wanted to, Christmas wanted to kind of go off on Kevin, was just like, were you guys going to flip a coin? Which one of you guys wanted to fuck me in the jury house? Like, she wanted to say that shit to him. Like she was just really like adamant about wanting to go after him, and I don't think it ended up happening. But it didn't really matter. Paul ended up winning that final veto, and it ended up leading to Kevin being evicted, and all of them, sad to see him go, actually teary-eyed and everything as he was evicted. So, go figure, right?
Right.
With how everything ended up working out. All right. Now, final 3. Josh, Christmas, Paul, and this is now everything that happened on finale night. Would you like to describe the first competition, first part of the HOH competition?
Unicorn farts.
They had to stand behind or like hang on behind a unicorn.
That just farted in their face because why the fuck not?
Heath Lumen, who is the creator of the Big Brother competitions, who I think is the best crew member of that whole,
hands down.
group of misfits, back there. He's I think by far the best competition creator because he just his I mean as maybe stupid as like the idea of unicorn farts is, it's still so creative, and everything that they do every single season so creative and so innovative, and it just I'm always amazed by what they do. I think if there's anything that Big Brother has over Survivor, I think would be the competitions.
The production of challenges is definitely much higher.
Yeah, for sure. Like even
Survivor has an aesthetic to it that kind of like makes it kind of like quote unquote lower quality.
Oh yeah, I know it's like their aesthetic. Yeah,
and Survivor relies way too much on endurance competitions.
Right, yeah. Not which you would think that they want to do a little bit of mental. I guess they do that with the puzzles. So I don't know. Yeah,
but I just meant like hold this position for 3 hours.
yeah. That's not as much with Big Brother, but it's fun when they do it, and it's I think much more big and very much for show on Big Brother too.
It's much bigger. It's much brother-er.
It's yeah. God damn it. All right. Anyways, and guess who? Well, first of all, Christmas was able to compete in this, and not only that, she got second place.
Right.
Josh actually ended up falling before her. She was able to survive, but Paul ultimately came out on top. Part 1 in the books, he wins it, and he gets to move automatically on to Part 3. Now, Josh and Christmas then compete in Part 2. What was Part 2 again?
Part 2 was actually a challenge I liked a lot. Basically, it was like this castle medieval setup with crossbows, catapults, all that fun stuff. They had to there was a riddle of align with everyone with everyone evicted who won HOH or something like that. And they had to knock down everyone that they didn't align with. So everyone evicted that won HOH was Jess, Cody, Jason, Alex, maybe one more. Might have just been those 4. But so they had to knock down everyone except those 4, and then rein in. And if they knocked someone down that they weren't supposed to, they had to run, prop them back up, and then go do it more.
Yeah, and it was very, very close. Apparently, what we didn't see on the show was there's a lot of technical issues. Even when someone hit the board, it didn't knock over at times, and it took quite some time to get it right, and but it ended up being very, very close. But Josh,
the final results were 1 hour and 39 minutes and 1 hour and 32 minutes.
Do you actually have that in front of you, or did you just?
I remembered that.
Yeah,
just because of how close it was, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. That was an incredible competition, and both of them kicked ass on it, but it came down to 7 minutes, and Josh ended up prevailing. So that kind of left Christmas in the void of whether or not she would be taken or not. And so leading up to this point, Josh was Paul was dead set on taking Josh. If Paul won the HOH, he was dead set on taking Josh because he felt like the jury would be more bitter against Josh than they would against Christmas, and that Paul would end up being more respected for his gameplay over Josh. So he was dead set on taking Josh. Josh, on the other hand, these past few weeks, he was so on to Paul's game. really thinking that Paul was, he was the source of everything that's happened this season, and maybe I shouldn't take him because he's been a great player, and I should take Christmas, who's been my ride or die. But at
Mm.
the same time, he's thinking that maybe there will be a lot of people on the jury that are bitter against Paul, and that Christmas was a little bit more likable. And if they had to choose between Josh and Christmas, it would be Paul, or rather, it would be
It'd be Christmas.
Christmas that would win that between the two of them. So it took him a little while, and Christmas essentially told Josh that she does not want to be taken, and that that she's just happy with the experience, and that she wanted him to take Paul. Uh, Also revealed in the last few weeks, Christmas has a little bit of a crush on Paul. Um,
Mm.
that was that was kind of revealed in the ninth session. But I think that's kind of part of the reason why she wanted to throw her game away, because she would have wanted either Josh or Paul to win it over her.
Mm.
Call that being unselfish. Call that being a bad game player. I mean, I don't know. I just I don't know how you get to this point and you don't want to campaign to
To at least try to win.
at least be taken to the final two. I mean, you get $50,000 more in your back pocket, at least if you make it to the final two. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to make that final, campaign. But she didn't want it, and that kind of made Josh feel like he had to take Paul. But that would not have mattered if it hadn't come down to if he didn't end up winning the HOH Part 3. And it was a classic. It was the usual Part 3 competition. So,
Yep.
uh, what is the final Part 3?
Uh, fuck. What's the name?
It's like Judgment Day or whatever
Well,
whatever
I'm
it is.
looking it up.
It's like some sort
Further
of
final
law
part.
balance. I don't know.
No, it's got some sort of pun with it.
we need the puns in our life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was it was tense.
Basically, the jury members all say they're uh, like some sort of thing that they that that
Was asked of them, right?
that was asked of them. They have to like finish the sentence, and then the contestants are given two options, and whoever gets the they have to try to choose the correct thing that the evicted house guest actually said, and whoever has the most points at the end wins. It actually got to a point where the scales of just us. That's what it is.
Okay, there you go.
They got to the point where they actually didn't have to do the last question because Josh was ahead of Paul 4-2, and Josh won the last HOH competition.
Yeah, and I believe it would have been. I think it's 4. Is the score that you're supposed to reach anyway, or something like that? Like I think 4 was
I
something was like
I don't think so because it's gone more in the past. Like I remember, I know for a fact in when it was Steve versus Vanessa 2 seasons ago, they were at like 7 or 8 when they won.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I have to go back to watch that.
It's just whoever has the highest score after all of them have it.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, Josh ended up winning, which the night of the finale was very interesting for me because on one hand, I felt like Paul played the best game. I felt like he should be the one that wins. On the other hand, Team Chaos was still a very
A very
important part.
likely possibility.
A very important part of my rooting interest. And a lot of the season I've been Team Chaos. I never really latched on to one particular house guest, and I felt like I didn't really want to do it in the finale. But Team Chaos really led me to latch on to Josh because if I felt like Josh between him and Christmas had the best chance of pulling the upset. And so Josh ended up winning HOH, And despite, I would love to hear what would have happened if it was Josh and Christmas in the final two. What would have happened with that? But unfortunately, we did not get that because he ended up evicting Christmas and sending her out the door. And so Josh and Paul were your final two, both of them at least getting $50,000. And so then we get to the questionnaire. Oh, do you want to do a quick recap of the jury roundtable? Do you know like
Uh,
anything significant that
I,
happened?
I don't know if I would know enough, other than they were just pissed off at all three of the last members.
Yeah.
And I'm glad there was some sort of moderator there to be like, well, he really just fucking played all of you.
Right.
Like straight up, that's what he was like, and trying to like, I forget who it was. It might have been Alex, where he was like, have you ever lied or like, sorry.
That's fine.
Yes, Alex, like, have you ever lied or stabbed someone in the back? And she was like, no. And it's like, well, have you fake cried? And she's like, yeah, but I don't consider that lying. And it was so frustrating to watch. Mark laid into Raven even more. It was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just one of those situations where Raven was getting pissed that all of them were being as salty as they were being. Uh, but it was pretty evident how angry Paul had made all of them. But Josh was also, and Josh and Christmas were both kind of like, they weren't getting much praise either. It was definitely one of those situations where the jury was just like, well, we have to pick one of them, so like they were not happy about it. So,
Yeah.
um, then we get to the questionnaire. Christmas joins the jury, and you have each of I don't think I think some of them did not get a chance to ask a question.
Yeah,
Um,
there were only three questions asked, and then Christmas asked one.
yeah,
Uh,
which I found
but
kind of strange.
they essentially like can be summarized by Paul, why were you such a fucking dick? And Josh, what did you fucking do?
I felt like, and this was a fascinating part of the finale to me, because you saw that Josh was trying his best to answer as honestly as he could, even though, he had to try to frame it as he was the one that made these moves, which he did, but
Yeah.
he tried to keep out the fact that, or at least maybe didn't realize the fact that Paul had quite a bit of influence on him. But
Mm.
what was amazing to me, I could not believe this, was that Paul continued to lie in the finale questionnaire.
Yeah.
He kept on framing it as if he was an innocent bystander to a lot of their evictions, even though he didn't need to do that.
He literally could have just said, I'm the reason that all of you are sitting there.
And I mean, I
And
think
that might have won him the game. He
that,
did
yeah,
so well with saying all the HOHs and vetoes and challenges that he won, and saying like, when I had the power when I needed it, and every veto that I won, I was also HOH, so I had all of the power. He could have extended that to, I have all of the power. I've been controlling every HOH.
yeah, and he like, yeah, like in the speeches, I mean, I feel like he delivered a much stronger speech than I was expecting after the questions.
He
uh,
had like for 2 seasons, he has had the fucking like, this is all that I fucking did. Give me $500,000. I
right,
deserve it.
yeah, and I feel like Josh struggled with his speech. So I felt like this was after he did after the speeches. I felt like, Paul might have turned it around after the questionnaire, and
Yeah.
it was one of those situations where I was generally still confused though about the situation, because I was just like, will they believe Paul now after he continued to lie to their face after
Yeah.
after everything, after them being out of the house and comparing notes. um and it was a really salty Salty's jury, and it, Paul should have probably been just a little bit more honest than he was.
Yeah.
Because then we got to the vote, and this is, I believe, the order that we went in. It was so I think Paul got the first vote, or I'm sorry,
Wait.
I'm sorry. Christmas, I think her vote was first.
Can I say something before that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So after the jury already voted,
Yes.
like they put the votes in.
Yeah.
They had a quick segment where they played a bunch of jury, just a bunch of literally everybody except Jess and Cody, saying, I trust Paul. I trust what he's planning to do. Like pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Like I trust Paul. I trust Paul. He knows what he's doing. He's gonna treat me well. Shit like that. Fucking everybody, and everyone was just sitting there like, what? What?
Yeah. It wasn't. It was the only person that did say it was Cody. I think Jessica was included in that. I think in the very beginning.
All right. So other than Cody and fucking Cameron and Jillian.
Right. Yeah. Like very early on, and Megan, who I don't think they were going to re-air anything.
Megan wasn't even there.
Yeah, it was it was really like
hilarious. And then they played all of Josh's goodbye messages.
Oh, I forgot about this part. Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, go ahead.
So in Josh's goodbye messages, and this wasn't something that like Paul had his hands on at all. Just Josh saying like, "Me, Paul, and Christmas have a secret alliance that we're taking to the end, and you were our target," or something like. It was along the lines of that the entire time.
Yeah.
And Paul turned to Josh. I was like, "Dude, that's kind of like cowardly," but lying in front of the whole jury isn't.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So yeah, this was something that Josh had, I guess, planned since I think Jason was the target, and I think
Jason. Yeah,
I think because that was around the same time that Josh kind of started realizing the game that Paul was trying to play.
He was just trying to lessen the blow on the evicted house guests and try to make them feel better about what just happened.
Right, and being honest and stabbing them in the front instead of the back. And
all right, I'll get to my point. I'll get to my ultimate point after the votes. But go ahead.
Yeah. So this was that I didn't even realize. I thought that was such awesome strategy, but I didn't know how much it was going to play a role in what would be the finale here. But here we go. The votes, as I think this is the order. As much as I think
it was reverse jury order, so it started with Christmas, ended with Cody.
Yeah. So Christmas votes Paul. Kevin votes Paul. Alex votes Josh. So at this point, I'm like, okay. So Alex is super bitter. We kind of got that. This is no surprise to me. Raven votes Paul. No surprise there. So that's 3-1, Paul. Jason votes Josh. Okay. Votes. So probably voting with Alex.
Votes with Alex. Yeah.
Yeah. Matt votes Paul, and here we go.
At this point, I forgot who the other three were, like who the specific people were. It was Mark, Elena, Cody.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, Paul just needs one of these, and he wins.
Yeah. I thought he might have had it. At this point, I thought it was going to be any minute now that we were, Paul was going to be claimed the winner. Next up, Mark votes for Josh. Elena votes for Josh. And I'm like, oh my god, tied vote. And it was at this point, Josh, his head is in his hands, almost like on borderline ready to sob. Paul almost in tears, mouthing to himself, "Not again, not again, not again." And the one vote that remains between us knowing who the winner is and this moment right here,
it's fucking Cody.
And of course it is. And this, I'm sure, was orgasmic for all the Jess and Cody fans out there, as Chili Chen raises the key and the name Josh is across Cody's key, and fucking Josh is the winner of Big Brother 19, We were
Yeah.
joking about this prospect, and it fucking happened. Josh
Uh-huh.
wins, baby 19, and I erupted. Team Chaos won that night.
I didn't know how the finale was going to go because I've had a couple meetings I had to go to. But as soon as it ends, Chris says, "Have fun watching the finale!" with an exclamation point. And I was like, at that point I had no idea who was going to win. Uh, I just thought that like some shit was going to go down, but I didn't think that Paul was going to lose. Like from a purely gameplay aspect, and if you put emotions aside, and this is a very emotionally charged game, I know, Paul had like one of the most commanding reality show games fucking ever.
Yeah.
Even more so than Derek, even more so than Vanessa, although Vanessa shouldn't have won anyway because she didn't fucking make the final two. Um,
Yeah. Excuse me, anyway.
People who said that, like, it was like, no, you didn't. There was Steve, there was Liz, and there was Vanessa, and you lost to Steve Moses, the trombone musician, music technology dude.
From Western New York.
Right.
Oh, man.
You lost to him, and then he was smart enough to not bring you. So that's why you lost, Vanessa. Fucking deal with it.
Hey.
And Vanessa fans. Uh, so like this is a situation, and I felt this very strongly last season that Paul should have won over Nicole. Because Nicole had a very high and like kind of like I wouldn't say maybe proper, but like she was on top the entire game, and didn't and like played kind of strong socially. But with all that Paul worked for that season, being constantly on the bottom, he should have won last season.
For sure. 100%.
And this season, when he played an even better game, wasn't on the block once, tried to get nominated, was almost nominated once, but then he worked himself to get into a position where he was aligned with so many people, won a lot of HOHs and veto, like a lot of them, and had the hand in deciding who was going home pretty much every week. Even the weeks when his alliance wasn't in power, when Cody and Jessica were both in power, he sent home the person that they didn't want sent home. That's how strong of a player he was, and he didn't fucking win. But he was such a dick to people and didn't manage his relationships well enough to win him the game.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't feel bad that Paul didn't win this season, and I'm happy for Josh, who, in this case, managed relationships better than Paul did for somehow.
Yeah.
And one, I will stand by this that Josh won because of his goodbye messages.
Yeah.
Which is not a strategy that anyone would have ever thought of.
Yeah. To me, anyone that said that Josh didn't do anything this summer, I think can, you gotta you have to think in the long, big picture. Like, sure, he may not have done anything, anything like major, like outside of the diary room, but inside the diary room. And those goodbye messages, I feel like, were what made Josh stand out between him and Paul. And he made moves, but he did it under Paul's discretion. But that was the one move that he'd made that Paul had no idea about, and because of that, and because of his good management with people, and being able to repair relationships the way he was, and I do think, and I'm sure there's gonna be people that disagree with this. I do think that even with all the chaos that Josh brewed this season, and him constantly yelling at people and getting mad at people,
Fights.
yeah, and, everything, all the chaos that he brewed, I do think that Josh has a good heart.
Me
Um,
too.
and I think that his good heart kind of led him to make those goodbye messages because while it was strategy, I think he also just wanted people to kind of feel at peace knowing what actually ended up happening. And that's what his goodbye messages were meant for. And I think that's exactly what you said. I think that's what won him the game. Paul overlooked that aspect, and it's very similarly to last year. He both times he overlooked the fact that that jury management was a thing, and that he should have built better relationship with people instead of isolating himself. I'm referring more to BB-18 there, but
Right.
BB-19, he needed to do more to being honest with people after he voted them out. Like, even his goodbye messages and those questionnaires, they were lies. They were just blatant lies. Like, I don't know what happened. I wanted to keep you to the end, and it just didn't work out. I'm sorry.
He knows that the jury talk to each other, right? That at some point they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, Paul really like."
Yeah, and
The rest of us all knew it.
you might think like, oh, in that instance he should have, maybe if people compare notes, maybe they should have said, you know what, that's pretty good gameplay, should have voted him out. But it's not necessarily what he did, it's how they kind of made him feel, how it made them feel about, like, backstabbing them, like, sure, it was a great game move in that sense, but like, he didn't want to repair those feelings. He didn't want to be honest about what they did, what he did. And in that sense, it's almost like the Paul that they knew was a lie the entire time. And it's almost like they didn't want to give money to someone they didn't really get to know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost as if, like, because he was lying to them even after he said goodbye to them, and he kept on saying, everything's good between us, and then when the jury house gets together, they compare notes and they're like, oh my god, he played all of us. Who the fuck really is Paul? And
right.
I think that was the major part of why Paul lost. And I think, in a way, kind of deserved to lose in that sense.
Yeah. There's this huge emphasis on, just in Big Brother, like, culture in general, and Survivor to an extent. But just like, oh, the winners are the ones who, like, lie, cheat, and backstab their way to the top. But all right, let's look back at the past few winners.
Mm-hmm.
Josh was kind of a meatball, and was loud and, like, annoyed a lot of people. But he was, I feel, genuine at his core to the people he cared about.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was Nicole. Nicole played a pretty, like, she was in really good positions a lot, but was still generally a nice person, I feel.
Yeah. Generally.
As much as some people might have not liked her.
Yeah.
C. Moses flew under the radar for, like, at least half the game, and then just kind of, like, happened to be in the final three and then won.
Yeah.
But super nice guy who survived Battle of the Block bullshit early on, and defied, like, being a pawn to, like, get there.
You know what I actually want to go back to, because I know that you were kind of trending in that direction. I kind of want to go back to see Derek's season.
I was literally just about to get there.
Yeah, because I thought, I'm thinking back, he played a kind of a similar game to Paul. He didn't try to bait any, like, fights or anything like that.
No.
Derek, like Paul was, but I that's probably part of the reason why he won. But I do want to know what his jury management skills outside of that were that ended up leading him to win.
I still think that, like, just, like, he didn't piss anyone off like Paul did.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
he was still like as much as controlling as he was, Derek was still never on the block
Right.
during his season because no one wanted to see him go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I think another thing that I really appreciate about Derek is that he didn't win. He purposely didn't win challenges to try to make himself seem less threatening.
Yeah. He kind of like
Um,
flew under the radar in that sense.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
he was a lot more behind the scenes than Paul was, but still just absolutely dominated that game.
Yeah.
Well, and he might have been helped with all the drama that like Frankie and Caleb caused.
Oh boy.
Uh,
Yeah, I remember those
yeah.
guys.
And that I honestly think kind of might have helped Derek a lot, just because of how strong of personalities those two had. I'll say that.
Mm.
We're not going to talk about Big Brother 15, but
Whole another
you,
monster. But
yeah,
oh, even there, like it just yeah, I don't know. It just it's just like an interesting thing to look at. Like I guess from BB15, or you know what, I can even just go back to BB12. We had the BB12 had a very dominant male alliance that ended up making it all the way to the end, only like losing one member, and one of them ended up winning. Like that was that season. Um, then you had BB13, where I'm not gonna really remember a lot of the strategy for that one, but I know that
is that
uh,
the one that Rachel won?
yeah, Rachel won, and she, I think, she used the rookies as like as like almost a shield to keep herself safe for a long time, and it was I have to really like it was a lot about like just kind of building like relationships with some of the rookies and them like kind of just keeping her safe as long as possible and then just kind of knocking them off one by one. I have to go back and really watch that season to really remember it. um, BB14, uh, you had Ian win, who many thought Dan deserved to win. Dan Giesling deserved to win that one, but Ian kind of he had the first of all he didn't piss off the jury like Dan did. Dan wasn't like nearly as bad as Paul, but he did, I think jury management just ways that the people were just kind of bitter with the way that Dan played the game, and they didn't like the fact that a veteran was that could win twice. So I guess they wanted to give it to Ian, who was a lot more kinder with his gameplay, even though, he was also with the Alliance. He also backstabbed some people. Um,
Yeah,
but he kind of was carried by Dan. But again, it was like the nice guy kind of finished the season. Which you know what I think I feel like Ian. You could kind of compare Ian and Josh in a way in that sense. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just not remember BB14 that well. But then from Andy all the way through the rest of these seasons, outside of Derek, you have people who kind of floated through the game and ended up, not really making like a lot of huge moves, and ended up just kind of swinging it in the end and
just
winning.
based on circumstance had happened to be in the end.
Right. And
So
to me, I think Survivor, where you have Survivor, where it really comes down to really setting yourself up in a good position, and both socially and being able to win the competition here and there. Big Brother, I feel like it just comes down to luck sometimes. you
uh,
know and if you know how if you can are able to read what's happening in the house, and you are able to keep yourself in the house as long as possible, you don't really need to make a big move until you're in a situation where you're in like the final three,
uh,
and try to win those last two of those three HOH parts, and knock out the biggest threat, and then you might end up winning. Like
all right.
that's what
Here's
happened. with
It's a
Steve.
strategy for Big Brother.
Yeah,
Don't go up as a pawn. Like, don't say, "Oh, I'll go up as a pawn."
yeah,
Don't paint a huge target on yourself either. Get to the final like 6 or so, and then start busting your ass. And
right. Yeah, it's like I think what you need to do is you need to really build relationships, focus on the social aspect of Big Brother very early on, and then in the end just kind of like pile it on. But it's very interesting with Josh's case because he did not really. He
he was
kind of
not on the radar by any means.
he was such a firecracker in the beginning. I think is the best way to put it. He went after Megan night one, which actually after the fact we found out Paul told him to go after Megan.
Oh,
I mean the dude was from the very start. I don't know. Um, Josh went after Megan, and then he went after Jess and Cody. Even though I feel like I'm going to say that Jess and Cody kind of started that. Just they kind of built that. Josh tried to apologize to them for it, and they weren't hearing it. They were bitter about it and all that, and they ended up throwing insults at him, and that ended up starting the whole Josh Cody feud essentially. But he had a lot of fights with those people early on. But meanwhile, even though he had the fights with a few people that he did, he ended up building friendships with everyone else, or trying to build as much friendships with everyone else. But specifically, he made friendships with Paul, who was controlling the game, and with Christmas, who he felt was also going to go through the game on long term. He probably thought, Christmas was going to be there for a while because she was a threat, but I think in all reality, Christmas was going to stick around because she had a broken leg and was going to probably be carried to the end anyway.
right.
Um,
It was also like, and this was a really long time back, but during one of the first challenges, Josh grabbed something that would keep him safe for the week.
that's right.
And
Yeah.
he seemed like like if he hadn't grabbed that, he would have been just the perfect like this won't piss off anyone in the house target to like get out
Yeah.
to vote out.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
just
had he not grabbed that apple, he might not have made it this far.
yeah. Yeah. And it's just he he set himself up early to be an early exit, but Paul made the big mistake in keeping Josh in the game. I guess you could say, right? Because he wanted Josh to stay in the game because he thought Josh would make enough enemies to not be taken seriously at the end. Um, but everything ended up happening the way it did, and Josh ended up becoming one of the smartest players in the game
Yeah.
because he caught on to Paul and he started using those goodbye messages as a way to rely that information to jury members that, hey, Paul's not really meant to be trusted, even though he never said that. That was the message that he was trying to get across. Paul is working with me and Christmas, and we three are working together to get you out of the game.
Mm.
Being as honest as possible. I don't know. It's really interesting. And what's even more interesting is Cody winning America's favorite player.
That doesn't surprise me as much.
It doesn't surprise me, but I have to wonder all the people out there who I think they just did it to spite Paul. I mean that
Just make his night worse.
yeah. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, I think that's the only reason why people latched to Cody and Jessica, because they were the only ones that were onto Paul's bullshit very early on. And I mean, there was a part of me, and it was really weird when he did win. He was very much. He described in the season how he's very much a loner. He doesn't really have anyone around him. So there was a part of me that was just like, okay, he wins America's favorite player. That's kind of, I guess that's kind of nice, but you can't forget the things that he said and did during the game, as well as Jessica, and especially, I mean, I know maybe this was when you're watching on television, you don't get the full story. You get when you don't know what happens on the live feeds. He said things that in most other seasons, America would have no tolerance for. Both of them. Jessica making fun of fat people. Cody, saying calling transgender people it's.
Yep.
This is shit that people would not handle in other seasons. They would be labeled mean. They would be labeled, just ignorant. They would not be a favorite by any stretch of the imagination. And yet, because of the circumstances, because of the fact that they were onto Paul as early as possible and really were the only ones that actually verbally challenged him outside of maybe, Dominique, they were the only ones that actually targeted Paul in this game, and were actually almost able to do it. But I will also say this: we can't forget the Jessica HOH. She blew it when she nominated Ramses and Josh.
Shit.
She blew it because what she wanted to do was she kind of wanted to get back in with the house, get everyone back together, sing Kumbaya. But let's be honest, and if she really was a good BB player, she would have noticed there was no chance that they were probably going to be able to turn it around and realign with people. The best thing that they could have done was just keep on winning competitions. But they should have taken a swing at Paul. They should have targeted
Even if it didn't
Paul.
work.
Even if it didn't work.
Even if Paul won the veto. Even if everyone voted to keep Paul.
It should have been the easiest thing to do. She won both the HOH and the veto that week.
Yeah.
And who does she want to target but Josh? Josh goes up there against Ramsey. And no, everyone wants Josh out of the house. Everyone wants to get him out.
Everyone loves Ramses.
No, everyone loves Ramses. He'll be fine. And guess what happens? Everyone votes out Ramses outside of Mark, Elena, and Cody. I do not understand the logic of that HOH, other than the fact that she was trying to get back in with everyone, but they were not going to want to do that. Because Cody didn't want to do that. Cody did not want to realign with everyone. He wanted to be rogue like he had been the whole fucking season. That's another thing. Go back to week 1 with Cody. He wanted Paul out of the game. But he did not tell anyone that he wanted to do that. He hinted it with Mark, and he hinted it, I believe, with Matt as well. I think both of them kind of advised against it, but he never got confirmation that he would have the votes to get out Paul. It would have not worked out anyway for him because...
Even if Paul didn't have the pendant of protection.
Right, but it was the build up to that point. He should have had people on his side. He should have built those friendships. And he did. He had a whole fucking alliance. But guess what? He did not tell the whole alliance what he was doing. I don't understand how people could say that was good gameplay. That part of Big Brother is actually being social and telling people and working together in voting out a target, especially early on. If you have a target in mind, you tell a group of people, hey, let's maybe consider getting out this person. And you let those people tell you, yes, let's do it, or no, let's not. And you listen to them. Because otherwise, your ass is going to be targeted next. And guess what happened? He nominates Paul. The pendant doesn't let him. He nominates Christmas. Hopefully people vote out Christmas that week. No, doesn't happen. Julian goes home, and he's the next target, and he goes home. He was lucky to get the jury buyback, or it wasn't even jury, it was the battle back, the pre-jury. He was very lucky to get that in that instance, and he ended up coming back, and it took a few evictions later to get both him and Jessica out of the game. How are these people looked at as BB greats? I'm telling you, this is the
You
shit
know
I see
why?
online. They're
And
seeing.
I'm not even like bullshitting on this or trying to make a joke. They're attractive. They're attractive human beings.
That's probably what it is. I mean, I can't because I can't really think of anything else. It's this dumbassery that I was not. I almost got political here, but I'm not. I will try not to. But you
All right.
probably will assume why I said why I was
Yep.
thinking. I
Yep.
just there is just this dumbassery with this fan base that at times where when they hate someone, they are as petty as fucking possible, and it makes them fall in love with the devil. And Cody and Jessica are not the worst house guest ever, but they should not be looked at
They were the
as
worst this season, I feel.
I feel like that. People would disagree with me on that, and I mean, I guess whatever, that's fine. You can say that Jessica and Cody were the only ones that spotted Paul this entire game and really tried to do something about, even though they didn't. Even though they did
They
not.
didn't do anything. They were just like, oh, Paul fucking hates us. We hate him too. That's more of what it was, not
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. I just think that if you're gonna tell me that Jessica and Cody or one of the two of them should return in an all-star season, and they'll because that they will be these amazing players
Cody will want to.
they'll yeah because they'll end up being great game players. They won't be surrounded by an idiot cast. They'll be one of the best to ever play. All right, you know what? Let's see it. Let's see either one of them return, and let's see how great players they are. Because honestly, I think they got very lucky in a very few spots, and they were not very smart in other parts. Okay, I can't look at those two and say that they played great. I can't really look at anyone this season that played an amazing game outside of Paul, but he was a
Right.
dick about it. So I mean,
Yeah. So he didn't win.
and he didn't win. And I can fully say Josh did not play a good game, and at the same time say he made the right move at the right time with those goodbye messages, and at that point deserved to win the game. I think those two can live in the same realm. And other than that, no one in this house this season outside of Paul played a good game. I don't. You cannot
Nope,
point to a.
I can't.
There is not a single person. I would love to hear the argument otherwise. Raven was the puppet master. We have to remember that, though. Okay.
Right. It was all Raven wanted to get sixth place or whatever she did.
Yeah. Sixth place. That's pretty much what it was.
All right. So that's I can't talk about Big Brother anymore. I will say, like, I saw this tweet, but I honestly robbed of who could have been a great competitor in Cameron.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm saddened by that, and it's going to be really aggravating going forward if they continuously evict someone on the first night before we ever get to really know them. I think I just think it's wrong, and I mean, I guess
it's not interesting. They think it's like, oh, all this drama, but it's not.
It's not. It's pathetic, honestly, and it's much different from Survivor first episode when someone leaves that first episode. It's different because they at least got to experience the scene.
Play and
right, they experienced the game in its entirety.
Like Cameron didn't play in an HOH challenge. He didn't do veto or anything.
Yeah, he didn't participate in anything Big Brother wise. He just was tossed into. How stupid was that premiere? He didn't get a friendship bracelet, so then they put him in a competition, and then in order that he fell, would grab an apple, and if he was lucky enough, would pull a ticket to be safe, but it didn't happen.
Nope.
And then and then he got put on the block as a nominee, and then he had to strip tease his way into convincing people to vote for him, and that didn't work out for him.
Instead of a fucking instead of like Jillian would, if she didn't get voted out second, she was going to get carried. Um, but like next to someone who, like, had her foot not been broken, would have been a competition monster. Her foot wasn't broken at that point,
Yeah, yeah, and
so you could have, like, as a house, you could have made your competition life like so much easier than against Cameron. Cameron would have been great at mental ones, but like
it,
Christmas too strong, too strong.
too strong.
Just
I, yeah, I just it's really disappointing. Cameron, I was really looking forward to,
same.
and it, especially from someone that, someone who had, you usually see these, super fans come in here, and end up like kind of making their way to the end of the game, but not necessarily playing like an amazing game. I feel
Like,
like Cameron could have played an amazing game somehow. It would have been a completely different monster, if Cameron were to stay in the game. I think that he would have probably been. I think he would have been someone that where it was onto Paul's bullshit, and I think the season would have just been so much more interesting without Paul. I felt like this cast was great as is, and I mean, look, it ended up becoming one of the worst casts ever. But I think a lot of that was because they fell in line with Paul. They were starstruck. Jason said that he was forced to watch Big Brother 18 in order to get an idea of what the show was about. And so these guys were kind of trained in the way that Paul was edited that season. He was very well liked that season, and I can't help but think these people kind of looked at Paul and was just, they were probably starstruck and probably loved him on BB18, and so they kind of immediately wanted to work with him, did not want to target him, despite the fact that they probably should target him. They probably should have gotten him out week 1 or week 2. It's just, there's so much about this season that one episode in the very beginning, like, could have something different could have happened or should have happened.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we could joke and say, like, Kevin. We could blame Kevin for taking the $25,000 relationship to the house, but who fucking
there,
would want?
there were like there were at least 6 people who buzzed in for the money.
Right, and who wouldn't want to take $25,000? Like,
Right.
come on, give me a
There's
break.
16 of you. Like, the odds of something bad happening to you are 1 in 16.
I mean, that's the only consolation of Kevin not winning America's Favorite Player is that
Just that he got that at the very start.
yeah, he got that exact money amount.
No, he only got 25,000. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's America's Favorite
yeah.
Player.
All right, yeah, cool.
So it just, I don't know, man. So overall, I think this was not a great season, but
No,
I think there were so many great moments, and if you are entertained by like fights that by like some of the fights this season, like that, I mean, they definitely were some really fun fights to watch, and some that went too far, but there are so many aspects of this season, despite it being such a train wreck in multiple ways. It was I think entertaining. It was it was not a boring Big Brother
no,
season by
not at
any
all.
stretch of the imagination.
I also like, putting people aside. The way the production handled the twists this season was by and far the best that they've ever done. I believe.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of, in terms of the temptations being completely optional. Maybe not necessarily the thing at the start with Paul, because that was definitely planned, and everyone knew that someone was going to take the. They all knew that someone was going to take the money.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
uh, but like the first thing was the 3 gifts that were like voted on by house guests. Uh, The first one, two of them ended up screwing over Cody. Um, with Paul getting the protection and then Christmas replacing him in the veto later on with her thing.
Yeah.
The third one just doesn't know how to play the game. So instead of saving it for herself, she had to save her boo, and screwed herself over by using it, I believe. The second thing with the like temptation challenges, completely optional to take part in, and added a bit more strategy of like, oh, if we throw this, we can play in the veto, versus like Mark having to win it just to save his ass. But again, entirely optional. And then the Tree of Temptation, Mark was the only one who took from it because he knew he needed it for his game, and it didn't really affect the game that much overall. So I personally thought twists were like mostly non-invasive.
Yeah, yeah. I think you could say the Paul thing in the beginning, was probably the most invasive one, and I would argue the only thing I would argue with that is the first temptation, because you knew that a TV audience did not get a great idea of the first 16 house guests, or the first 15 house guests after Cameron left.
Right.
But they knew who Paul was, and they knew how likable Paul was from last season.
Yeah.
So I feel like production kind of knew he was gonna get that safety, so they wanted him to be in the house for at least a good amount of time, because at this point Paul entered the game. He's now the face. He was immediately the face of Big Brother 19 at that point.
Oh, totally.
And they wanted to keep him in the game as long as possible. So I feel like that reward was kind of set up for him to get. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right.
So that would be my only argument. But other than that, though, yeah, I think the twists. I think in other seasons we would be looking back at this and saying the twists were awesome and it could have been great to see how it played out. But this was just a new breed of stupid that came into the house that ended up making things just not as fun. I think but I agree. I think the temptations were again, in other circumstances, would have been a lot of fun and really cool overall. And I think that they did do a great job with that. And like I said, the competitions are always great. They always do a great job with that. There's just that there's we always think that this was not that great of a season, but it's at least something to hold us up during the summer. It was fun at moments, and I enjoyed it, even as frustrated as I got with it. I enjoyed that I had Big Brother this season, and I'm looking forward to next summer, and I'm looking forward to, I know you aren't, but I am looking forward to winter.
I need to stop making so much noise. It's 11 at night and I have neighbors.
I am very, very excited for Celebrity Big Brother, because I just think it's going to be Team Chaos all the way.
Is it live feeds only, or is it like...
No, it's going to air on CBS.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. I hope that within the 4 months I can convince you to watch it. I'm
going to watch it.
What, saying?
I'm gonna watch it.
Okay, good.
I'm just gonna hate it the entire time.
I don't blame you. Look, when you have washed up celebrities and you shove them in the house, though, there's just something stupid's gonna happen. And I'm just gonna embrace it. I'm gonna love it, and it's gonna just be so much more fun. I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait for the cast to be revealed. Oh, this winter is gonna be great. It's not gonna last as long as as the regular Big Brother. Apparently, it's going to be probably only a few weeks. It's honestly, it's probably going to be during or around the time that the Olympics are airing, because it's going to be hard for them to compete with the Olympics anyway. So they're going to.
Oh, that's a good point.
So they may. That's my theory, at least. I don't know if that's going to be actually going to be the case, but I mean. that I mean that's they had Big Brother airing last year during the Summer Olympics and a lot of other programming, and so I think it's a good idea by CBS. So because you'll have someone, me, and maybe you, who are gonna probably watch that over some of the Olympics. I'm gonna watch some of the Olympics for sure,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, I'm looking for. I'm really looking forward to all that. It's gonna be such a train wreck. It's gonna be great. But Big Brother 20 next year, and it's gonna be. I do wonder if they're gonna do something special. My hope is they either do all stars or just do an all new cast, no more veterans.
I feel like this would be a prime moment for All Stars,
Yeah,
just because it's 20.
yeah, and I would prefer it that they have all people who haven't won the game before, except for Paul, because
Or
Paul already had 2 seasons. Sorry, Paul.
yeah, I can't handle Paul for a third season.
Yeah, no, sorry, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, so who would be a few people that you'd like to see? Just make this podcast even fucking longer.
sorry, man. But that's a good question. I I have to think back to past seasons of people that I enjoyed a lot. Um, but that is a good question. I liked if I'm gonna stay in you know stay in like the seasons that um,
Yeah.
category. Um, let's say going back to season 15, I would mind seeing Helen again.
Yeah, I can see Helen.
Helen, who I felt like played a little bit of a game there. Um, you know, I'm sure from that season you might get Amanda back. I, I doubt that you would get Aaron because of the comments that
The
happened.
racism.
Yeah, but I could see Amanda, who is just as much of like just a firecracker and insane. Um, would love to see Donnie back.
Oh my
Uh,
god, I would love Donnie back.
I think it's been a few seasons now. I know that he said he didn't want to come right back, but I could
Yeah.
see him being a returner. Zach,
Maybe.
I could see Zach coming back.
Yeah, Zach. Who was I gonna say? I had someone, but I forgot it. Uh, shit. Oh well.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna. Yeah, let's see. Season 17. I don't know. Vanessa would probably be on the docket for that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd actually be against Vanessa.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I would like to
Yeah.
see what she does the second time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against any of them. Even like the ones that I absolutely hate. Like, even if they bring
I would
back
be against. Was it Audrey? Audrey.
Audrey,
I would be against Audrey
why?
because she was awful to watch the entire time.
Well, yeah, and I feel like she kind of like disrespected the rules at one point. So I feel like there might be like a little animosity there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I would be kind of interested to see what would happen there. I don't know. I would not even say that I hate this. I would hate to see Jess and Cody. Like I said earlier, if they came back, I would like to see if they actually are these great.
I would. You know what
Yeah.
I would like to see? I would like to see Jessica come back without Cody.
Yeah, I mean, by themselves, they weren't that bad. I mean,
Because
yeah.
as soon as Cody left, Jessica actually had some semblance of a game forming, and then he came back and they excluded themselves.
Yeah, I would want to see one of them back, but even if it was both, I would just like to see what people are saying are these master game players. Like I want to see that actually play out. You know,
Yeah.
I would want them. I would like to see them probably return. They probably should return if they had to pick someone from that cast to return. And I would say Christmas.
You know what you could do is you could bring Matt back, just put him in the house and have him eat all the cereal, but not actually be part of the game or anything. He's not allowed to socialize. Just sit in the kitchen and eat cereal the whole time.
He's just the innocent bystander.
He's just there, kind of goes like as he's sitting, just kind of do the eyebrows, like, "Hey, what's up?"
Can't he doesn't speak a word to anyone. He just exists. You
I
know.
know, and when people question it, no, like production and Matt's not allowed to answer, and production just doesn't say anything to them.
Yeah, like Jessica and Vanessa have a major backyard fight, but then in the background you just see Matt eating cereal, and everyone's
Yeah,
just like,
sure.
does anyone know that fucking guy? Like, why is he
Yeah,
here? He's not doing anything. His face is not on the wall. Like he's not participating in any competitions. Like we were on the wall for a long time, and he's just sitting on the sidelines eating cereal. Like
yeah.
I like what's happening, man? Like so it's just like. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's great. I would love to see that happen with Matt.
Yeah.
Um, uh, speaking of someone from season 17, John from John the Dentist.
Oh,
Um,
Johnny Mac. Yeah,
Johnny
that's who I
Mac.
was thinking of.
Yeah, Johnny Mac could definitely be a returner. Um, there could be a chance that Shelley and Clay may one of them
Maybe.
maybe. Maybe one of the twins. Um, let's see, season 18. Victor, I think, would be an interesting one because
Oh, Victor would be great.
he was the guy that kept on coming back into the house, came back twice, and he could be
Yeah.
this huge physical threat. It would be interesting to bring it back. Imagine if they put Tiffany and Vanessa in the same fucking season. That would be
All right.
bullshit.
So here's what you got to do. You have four house guests: Tiffany, Vanessa, Cody, and Polly.
Oh God, watch them battle it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all of season 20.
Remember
Uh,
Polly? Polly was really bad at the game.
Yeah, he was. But again, he's another one where I'm like, if he comes back, I would like, let's just see what happens the second time over.
Yeah.
And you know who I also want to see back? I want to see Cameron. Obviously, I would love to see
Oh
Cameron
yeah.
get a second shot. I like I said earlier, Christmas would get a second shot. I feel just without a broken leg, without a broken foot, just to see how she would actually participate. But also Glenn and Jody, who both of them were day one evictees essentially, or pre feeds evictees. I would like to see
Who
them.
was Jody? I don't remember Jody.
It was before your time. It was the season
Okay.
before you watch. But that was
All
the
right.
first ever day one evictee, and no one was happy about it. And it was the kind of same with Glenn. And I don't know how far either of them would have gone. Maybe not that far, but I would have at least liked to see them play. And it's a shame that neither of them really got the chance to do so. Jose.
No. No.
I think that could be a little fun.
God, I don't want to deal with that again. Like so at the end of last season when they were like, "Oh, vote for Jason, the one from BB17, or Jose for which one you want to be in BB over the top." I was just like, people actually want to watch Jose again. Like, this is the thing that production actually thinks exists. Jason, I totally understand because Jason was like a super fan and interesting to watch.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that he could be an entertainment factor, but I guess I just don't think that he's very loved by the BB fan base at all. Um,
Oh,
and
fuck him.
by the way, yeah, I don't. Did I ever tell you how that over the top thing played out?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, essentially, it was Jason and a bunch of newbies. But apparently, I didn't get to watch the whole season. Barely I got to watch the season. But people praise it as one of the best Big Brother seasons in a long time, which is really like a
Really?
shame that they didn't. Yeah, well, mostly because they got to see the competitions live. They got to see
Uh,
non-stop, like no cutting in live feeds. Like live feeds did not cut away for anything compared to what a usual Big Brother season's like. And it came down to like Jason and the one more newbie, and the newbie ended up winning. So very similar to this season, this past season. But it was just really fun and interesting, and I would love to go back and actually watch it. But apparently, but it was just, people just loved it. People just enjoyed it a lot. I'm just gonna rattle off some people that you might not know, but just from the seasons before
Yeah.
season 15. I know Shane and Danielle from season 14. I know Danielle was kind of like attached to Dan, but I would like to see how she would play in like maybe independently. Shane as well would be interesting to see. I would not want to see Frank back. We got that already.
No,
I would.
no.
I think we're good with on that front. Season 13, I don't feel like anyone from that season was really memorable except for the veterans. I can't really think of anyone that would be a good filler. Maybe no, I don't know because I feel like the all of them were kind of like just pawns for the veterans. I can't really pick a single person there. But as for season 12, that was the first season I watched. I would mind seeing anyone from the brigade back there, but alone this time. So Enzo, otherwise known as the Meow Meow. Um,
Um,
I wanted to make sure I included that in there. He is like this really. I feel like this. He's like a New Yorker, Brooklyn, and he had like the heavy accent, and he like the heavy Brooklyn accent, and he just and he nicknamed himself the Meow Meow because they each had nicknames in the Alliance. I don't know, but I enjoyed him. I think he was very entertaining. So I hope that he makes a return. I hope that Brittany makes a return as well. I know that she was back in season 14, but I don't know, just bring her back. Because I think I don't know, she's entertaining in that sense.
yeah.
And yeah, Lane or Matt, either one of them, because they were also the brigade. I would like if but just like I said, just one person from the brigade. Let's see if they could play in that All-Star season alone. After that, I don't know too much about the other seasons. I've kind of checked out other seasons, like here and there. I kind of have an idea of some of them, but I would not probably be able to give like a who do I want to see.
I also don't think anyone from that long ago would even want to be on the show.
I don't know. I think that there might be some that might want to give it another shot, but
Yeah, but is it the people that like people liked, or the people who were like just there, like were essentially the Dominiques of the season? Like I'm gonna be so famous, and then you get voted out fourth.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Back in like those seasons, I would say starting from like season 11 going forward, a lot of those seasons had a lot of house guests that were just wanting to be famous. I feel like
Yeah.
season. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like the past seasons there was a lot more people that were trying to compete to win. You had
Gotcha.
this past season was almost like half the house just wanted to be famous and just wanted to make jury, wanted to have a better stipend, fucking
Right.
whatever. Anyways, I would for BB10 though, I would like to see Jerry return, and Jerry, if you are not familiar, you don't know, he is now 84 years old. He was 75 when he first entered the house, and he was just he was just Jerry. He was just this old guy in the house that he did get in like some fights. He's like an old veteran, but
Yeah.
I feel like if he wants to give it a shot and if he's in shape, I would love to see Jerry come back into the house. That would be great. All right, but outside of that though, I won't really be able to suggest anyone else. But
Yeah.
overall, pretty. I would be really excited to see an all-star cast and maybe revisit some of the past seasons to really get an idea of all of them. And I would try to update you as much as possible with that as well. So,
Yeah.
all
So
right.
either all veterans or no veterans for BB20.
Either, as long as it's not mixed at this point.
Right.
Because I feel like the mixed seasons are just they're just so bad. They're so bad. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you all so much.
If you watched this far.
Yeah.
Comment Pooter if you watched this far.
Yeah, man, 2 hours. Oof, we really did do pretty well. I gotta say, best podcast ever. NA. Actually, you know what? Think of another word. Think of another word to actually put in the comments outside of Pooter.
Okay. Put Honeydew.
Honeydew.
The
Honeydew.
worst of the melons.
Alright. Honeydew in the comment section down below if you've watched
It's always in fruit salads, but it's not welcome. Cantaloupe can just bring its cool cousin Honeydew along, but no one wants it.
Yeah. Well, you see, cantaloupes, and we do like an hour-long podcast on cantaloupes.
Please end it, please.
Thank you all so much for watching. We hope you all enjoyed. Be good to one another, be kind to one another, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast.
See you guys for a better show.
Oh, wow.
Bye-bye.